This is the 12th video of Play Chess and Play It Good, and in this video we will be talking about piece values, because it's very important that you know this, or else you'll be giving away queens for rooks. So first let's start with the most powerful ones. So here is basically just an image of them. So this is the most standard form of piece values, and they say that the pawns are worth 1 point, the knight is worth 3 points, the bishop is worth 3 points as well, the rooks are worth 5 points, and the queen is worth 9 points. And obviously if you lose the king, you lose the game. So, but there is a different type of piece value thing that is more accurate, and it is right here. So this is, it still goes with the pawns are 1 point, but the knight is 3.5, and so is the bishop. The rook is 5 1/4. The queen is 10, and this king is still worth too much. So with that, I hope you can understand the next example. So we have a position where white can take either the queen or the rook. The queen is worth 10 points or 9 points, and the rook is worth 5 points or 5 1/4, which would mean that white would probably take the queen instead of the rook, because the rook is not as much as the queen. And also, these piece values are based on how the pieces move, because the queen can move the furthest and the quickest, so that's why it's the best. So now there are some more advanced stuff called material imbalances. So say your opponent just moved his rook here, so now it's attacking your queen. The rook is worth less than the queen, so you should move it. But where should you move it? Well, you can move it over here, but then you'll lose your rook, so there's no way to save your rook if you want to preserve your queen, which means you have to take. And when you take here, your opponent takes and you take. So now let's look at the material. First of all, right now it's basically even, and now when you take and he takes, you took. Now you got a queen for 2 rooks. A rook is worth 5 in this one, and the queen is worth 9, so it would be more worth it for white, and it would be the same in the other image with this, because the rook is worth 5 1/4, and a queen is worth 10, and 5 plus, well, 5 point, just forget about it. 5 1/4 plus 5 1/4 equals more than 10. So, yeah. I hope you understand that. So the next example is the same, but this time you actually have a choice if you want to protect your rook and not lose the queen, or still use the trade. Normally, it'd probably be better to just take. If you move here, it's probably just going to be a draw, because there's not really any good way to get at each other. But this is more cool, because now you can use both of your rooks, and there are some nasty stuff you can do to your opponent. And also, the rook basically puts two times as much pressure as a queen would put on a piece because there are two rooks, not one. So there's another example, and it's like this. This is a different type of imbalance, and it is a bishop and a knight versus a rook. And in this case, it would be also with a pawn. So if you're playing in a game, you should always reconsider taking on f7 if you get to this position. Because if you take, now the black rook takes and now you take, the king is not really that unsafe. And let's think about it. You just used two minor pieces, and black only used a rook and a pawn. So let's look at the piece values again. So in the first one, it would be a knight and a bishop, 6, and a pawn and a rook, 6. So that would be even. But now we look at the more advanced and accurate one, which is 3.5 plus 3.5, which is 7, versus a rook and a pawn. That would be 6.25 versus 7, which would be 0.75 less than the bishop and the knight. And that is why you shouldn't take there. And usually it is always bad to take, like, exchange two minor pieces for a rook. So don't do that. So this one's not really an imbalance, but it's just another like tip that is very useful. So you must be thinking, if the king is worth like 1 million or something, then why doesn't it move like it? First of all, it's strong. Well, not strong, important. But it is worth 4 points if you would actually use it. But you shouldn't use the king when most of the pieces are still on the board. When like a position like this happens, not many pieces on the board, so they can't checkmate you. So maybe here you're playing in a game, and your opponent says, "My king is very safe. Your knight can't checkmate me." But the problem is, if black just leaves his king on this square, it will be useless. Now you just move your king over here and here and here, and then you're using the king while your opponent's not. And the king, as I already said, is worth 4 points. The knight is worth 3 points, so you're using 7 points against this 3 points. That is the most common way, because it's easier to say. So I hope you kind of understand these piece values, and I think you should remember the more advanced type of piece value thing, because it will be very useful too. But if you haven't like digested all of that information yet, you should probably first remember this thing, which is a pawn, a knight, a bishop, a rook, and a queen. So subscribe to my channel 26 Diagonals for more videos. Give the video a like, and bye!